Definite integral 5, Riemann sum to integral. Express the following limit as a definite integral, a to b f of x dx. Limit n approaches infinity, 1 over n, root 1 over n plus root 2 over n plus root 3 over n plus root n over n. Let's compare this to the Riemann sum. Limit n goes to infinity, I goes from 1 to n, f of xi delta x is equal to definite integral a to b f of x dx. First, we notice that the general term of the summation is root I over n. And as I varies from 1 to n, we obtain root 1 over n plus root 2 over n plus root n over n. So now we can apply the summation formula. Limit n goes to infinity, 1 over n, summation I goes from 1 to n, and we write all of this into a summation in a more compact form, root I over n, which is the general term. And if you expand this, you will see that you will get this. So if you put I equals 1, you get root 1 over n, that's this term. If you put I equals 2, then you get root 2 over n, that's this term. And if you put I equals 3, you get root 3 over n, that's this term. And if you put I equals n, you get root n over n, which is this term. Okay, so now let's compare this to the Riemann sum formula. Limit n approaches infinity, 1 over n, summation I goes from 1 to n, root of I over n, and our goal is to write this in terms of limit n approaches infinity, I goes from 1 to n, f of xi times delta x. And eventually we hope to write this in terms of a to b as a definite integral f of x dx. Okay, so we let xi be equal to I over n. That means x1 is equal to 1 over n, x2 is equal to 2 over n, x3 is 3 over n, xi is I over n, and xn is n over n, which is equal to 1, and that's b. So we can now see that what we have is a is 0, b is 1, f of xi is equal to root xi. That means, of course, f of x is root x. Delta x is 1 minus 0 over n. That's just 1 over n. So we can put this now into the form that we like. The limit n approaches infinity, 1 over n, I goes from 1 to n, root of I over n. This is written in the form integral from 0 to 1, root x dx, which is a definite integral. Now let's look at the big picture. So big picture. We were given the question, limit n goes to infinity, 1 over n, root 1 over n plus root 2 over n plus dot 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 plus root n over n. And we wrote that in summation form, limit n goes to infinity, 1 over n, summation I goes from 1 to n, root I over n. And then we wrote that into a general Riemann formula, I goes from 1 to n, root xi, delta x, limit n goes to infinity, and then we followed up with a definite integral 0 to 1, root x dx. So what we did is we turned this Riemann sum into this definite integral. And in terms of areas, this represents the area under the curve. Here is root x from 0 to 1. And if we were to compute this, we would find the area under the function f of x equals root x from 0 to 1. Alright, thank you.